Many people these days are addicted to this thing right here, their smartphone. If you're anything like me, you probably check your phone as soon as you get up. Then you probably check it again when you're in the bathroom. And you've probably been in multiple situations where you're checking your phone so much that you're not even paying attention to what's going on around you. It's very easy in these times to get addicted to your phone because it's such a necessity these days. Now, if you were someone who had to go without your phone for an extended period of time, would you be someone who's calm, cool, collected, and knows how to navigate life without their phone? Or would you be someone who's reaching for their pocket every few seconds only to realize that their phone is not there? If you're a part of the latter group, don't worry, because I definitely was like that at one point, but I've been able to drastically reduce my phone usage and screen time and to reduce my overusage of my phone. That's why in today's video, I wanted to help you guys by giving you all the tips that I use to overcome this phone addiction and hopefully give you all some practical tips that you can put into place right away to help you reduce your screen time. So let's get right into the video. So in my opinion, the first actual step you should take before trying to overcome your phone addiction or just over consuming of your phone in general is to acknowledge the benefits. Now you're probably thinking that doesn't really make sense as you're trying to reduce the amount of time you're spending on your phone, but it actually does make sense when I break it down. I say this in a lot of my videos, but you rarely want to be on an extreme side of any debate or any issue. Now obviously you're trying to reduce the amount of time you use on your phone and try to use it as minimally as possible, but you don't want to be on the extreme where you're saying, I'm going to lock away my phone and never touch it and not use it. That's way too extreme, and the reason it's too extreme is because there's a lot of benefits to using your phone. One big example is the GPS on your phone. I remember back in the day when I was young, my dad would drive us around places, out of town or cross country road trips. We'd have to have this really giant map. Like my dad would look at and try to navigate and then stop at different gas stations and make sure he was on the right track. Nowadays, you don't need to do any of that. You can just look at your phone, hit start, and it'll take you there. You don't even need to know how to get there. You don't even have to have the basic knowledge of where you're going. The GPS will take you where you need to be. Now, obviously it's still a good skill to have. I remember when I was traveling to Toronto, this was like 4 or 5 years ago, and I crossed the border because I was going by car, and me and my friends, none of our phones worked because we're Americans, so our phones didn't work when we were in Canada. We didn't get any reception. So we had to kind of do that old school method where we stopped at different places and try to ask them if we're on the right track. Now, it's obviously a good skill to have, but it's pretty much obsolete at this point with phones working everywhere. Another big benefit of smartphones these days is communication. Me personally, I have a lot of family who lives overseas and just friends who live in different countries. And back in the day, you had to buy like a specific card where you dial up, get minutes, and then be able to call overseas. Nowadays, you can just use something like WhatsApp and you can communicate with different friends and family all over the globe in a matter of seconds. Many more benefits that you could label or you could list off about your smartphone, and it's really actually pretty beneficial for daily use. I think rather than trying to be on the extreme of never trying to use your phone again or like barely ever use it, I think there's a good balance of acknowledging that your phone and smartphone actually has a lot of benefits, but realizing where the line is and not trying to cross it into overconsumption. Like I said, there's nothing inherently wrong about a phone. All it is a piece of technology. How you use it is the real problem. What you need to do is look and see what apps and what programs and what exactly on your phone is causing the time sink and causing the negative effects that you're feeling. For me, when I did this, I realized what really was causing the issue is apps that involve scrolling. Now, a lot of these apps like social media apps, sports news apps, regular news apps, and things that just involve scrolling cause a real time sink because there's endless scrolling. For example, if you're on a site like X, formerly known as Twitter, you could scroll through tweets, but the tweets will never end. It doesn't matter how many people you follow, how many tweets are out there. If you run out of tweets that the people you follow have tweeted recently, it'll just go to other recommended tweets that you'll think you'll like. So it'll always be more and more tweets, more and more things. And you could be on there for 10 minutes, and that could turn into 20 minutes, that could turn into 30 minutes, 40 minutes, an hour. And there's been plenty of times where I've just gone through different apps that involve scrolled through it, and the time has just gone away mysteriously. And now I have lost a whole bunch of time that I really didn't need to be wasting. In my opinion, what you should do is delete these apps first or put an extremely strict limit on these apps. And by strict limit, I mean, for example, on the iPhone, I'm sure you can do this on Android as well, but on the iPhone, I know you can set limits on how long you use certain apps. So let's say you have the Twitter app, and that's what's causing the biggest problem. You might put like a 30-minute limit for the entire day. That way, after that 30 minutes happens, this app just doesn't work anymore. That's one way of doing it. If you want to just start off with that, I recommend just going out and deleting it. That's what I did. I think that was the better option, but if you want to just start a little bit slower, a little bit lighter, just ease into it, start by setting a limit. One thing I realized after deleting a lot of these apps is how much I really didn't need these apps as much as I thought I did. For example, like with the news and sports apps, I realized the only reason I was ever really on there is because it was available to me in front of my face. As soon as I got rid of that availability, I never really wanted to be on it. Another great example of this is TikTok. I used to have a TikTok account, especially during lockdown in 2020. I used to use it all the time. And I thought there's no way I could delete it. Then one day I decided just to delete my account, not only delete it off my phone, just delete my whole account. And at the time I had like 11,000 followers too, so I had a pretty good following. But I decided to delete it because I felt like the negative effects were outweighing the positive. I haven't re-downloaded it or felt any need to re-download it since, and it's been like I think almost 2 years now. So I think once you actually go through and delete it or limit yourself a lot, you'll quickly realize the only reason you're on those apps excessively is because it was available to you right in front of your face and there was no restrictions and no limits. One thing to note is not every single app you need to be deleting. People say just delete all apps off your phone, keep it as minimalist as possible. I disagree with this. I think there's a lot of apps that are not necessarily time sinks or waste of time. One example is Quizlet. There's a lot of things that I'm working on studying, and having the Quizlet app has been great because, when I do have some free time in between here and there, I can go on the Quizlet app and just look through my notes. And that's a great way to just, if I have 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there, do that. So you really don't need to be deleting all apps. Like I said, figure out what apps are causing the problem and delete or limit those first. Another tip I have is to turn off all notifications and put your phone on Do Not Disturb. I did this about 1.5 years ago. I turned off all notifications on my phone and I turned on Do Not Disturb, and I don't think I could ever go back to having it the way I was beforehand. I never realized how much better it was until I did it. For me, it was so easy to be going through a session of deep work where I was really focused, trying to work on something, for example, let's say editing a video, and all of a sudden I would see a notification pop up on my phone and I would lose focus of that deep work and go check the notification. Now the notification could have been something very quick, only take like 2 seconds to respond to or something like that. But then I was already on my phone, so I'd say, oh, let me go check something else. Let me go check this other thing. Let me go check that other thing. Let me go check this, this, and this. And now that 1 to 2 seconds I could have just checked my notification, swiped, and moved on and been back to focus, now turns into 30 minutes of wasted time. That's why I realized how beneficial just turning off all your notifications are. I have now just periods of time where I am focused on what I need to be doing, focused on productivity, focused on whatever it is I'm doing, and I don't see those notifications. Meaning at a later time when I do check my phone eventually, I can just go through everything, check it quick, and that way I can just go back to what I'm doing. Same thing with Do Not Disturb. I don't want the notification noise to pop up because again, it can be very distracting. You don't have to go to the extreme of just turning on every single notification. Obviously, if you're like, for example, a parent, you might want to have your kids' notifications on in case they text you, or if you have a job and you have a work phone, obviously you're gonna want to have notifications on for those type of things. And maybe you have some important texts that need to have the notifications on. But for the most part, you don't need notifications on for a majority of other things. Another just side tip is turn off all group chat notifications. I'll be honest, there's not a single group chat I have that I need to have notifications on. There'll be times where, the group chat will start for a specific thing, like, hey guys, let's all meet up here and do this thing. And then it'll quickly devolve into like 100 messages. So my just general rule of thumb is every single group chat I'm in, as soon as I get into it, I'm turning off notifications instantly. A couple other tips that I have, figure out what your screen time is. So that means you should turn on your screen time in your phone. This will show exactly what you're spending the most time on and where you need the most help. And I know in the beginning it could be very scary. There was a long period of time ever since that feature came out on iPhone that I just refused to do it because I already knew my screen time was gonna be high, but I just did not want to see it visually. You need to just see exactly how bad it is for you and what exactly is taking up the most amount of time, and then you can attack those areas first. Another tip I have is find substitutes for the things that you think are taking up the most screen time. What I mean by this is, let's say the way you get quickly addicted to your phone is maybe you just use your phone to check the time, and now, oh, I'm already on my phone, let me check a few things. All you wanted to do was check that time, but now it kind of snowballed into you wasting time checking your phone. The easiest substitute for that would be just to buy a watch. Now you don't have to check your phone all the time, you can just check your watch, and that way that's one less time you might pick up your phone. Another example might be the alarm. Maybe you use your phone as an alarm, and in the morning you wake up to your phone alarm, and now you're checking your phone in the morning because you're already up, you're already on your phone, now I'm gonna check my phone for a while. And maybe that's a bad habit you're trying to break, which is using your phone in the morning. Easy solution to this, buy an alarm clock, keep your phone in a completely different room. Now, going off that, this is something I definitely recommend for people if they feel like they're using their phone too much at night before they go to sleep or in the morning right when they wake up. It's just to have your phone in a different room. As soon as you wake up, if your first instinct is to check your phone, having that phone in a different room you'll probably be too lazy in the morning to get up and go walk all the way to a different room, get your phone, come back to your room, and go back to bed. At that point, if you've already gotten up out of your bed, you're probably just gonna be like, I'm already up, let me start my day. And then you'll probably just be more productive that way anyway. So that's another recommendation I have. Just at night, put your phone in a different room before you go to bed. That'll allow you to not check your phone at night, obviously. And then the ripple effect of that is obviously you're not going to check your phone in the morning because your phone is in a different room. One other final tip I have that you can do is also change your phone to a negative color. You can change it to black and white. Now, this is not something I've personally done, but I know friends who have done this where they've changed their phone color to black and white. So it just makes the phone less interesting. Even when they're on it, they'll easily just remind them like, oh, my phone's kind of boring. Let me shut this off. So in conclusion, has this actually worked for me? Now, I've been following these tips for about a year, and there's definitely been a period of time where I've fallen off, but for the most part, it has worked. I've drastically reduced my screen time. The main thing I realized by doing this is how many apps there were and how many things I was consuming just because I had it in front of me, not because I actually cared to use it. I think the key thing to understand is small changes will actually make a big difference in reducing your screen time. It could seem like a daunting task at first, especially if you have high screen time, like 10 hours or something like that. If you can just do the small things here and there, it'll reduce it, and then once you get that effect of seeing it being reduced, you'll be able to use that momentum and keep pushing forward to get it down to a screen time that you feel comfortable. I know nowadays everybody uses their phone pretty much, it seems like 24/7. So if you can be one of those few people who can overcome their phone addiction, I believe you'll be set up for great success in this generation. Let me know what your guys' tips are on how to reduce screen time if you've done it, or if you're just beginning, what do you feel like is the hardest part? Let me know in the comment section below. Till next time, guys, I appreciate it if you made it all the way till the end, and I'm out. Peace.